Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of What Did I Get This Week? Before I actually talk about my pickups for the week, I did want to address some housekeeping things. So in my previous video, I talked about doing other videos for my recent Ami hauls. Those videos are still coming. I've decided to postpone them a little bit for an exciting reason, or what I think is an exciting reason. But I will talk a little bit more about that in those actual videos when they come out. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is that for this video, I actually did make myself some notes this time, which I did not do last time. And I'm going to be adding in some music as like a background track. That way, hopefully the video will be a little less boring, a little less scatterbrained and off the cuff. But yeah, with that stuff out of the way, let's take a look at what I got this week. Only books for this week, no figures or video games or anything, but there were still a good amount of new releases that did come out, starting with Gachi Akta Volume 9. So I think with the release of the next volume, that'll get us up to the end of the anime. For those of you that were watching the anime, this includes the sort of the conclusion to all of the solo fights. So here we've got Bro and Deer against Bundus, and then everybody kind of meets up at the Trash Beast core, and they kind of have their final confrontation there. So pretty exciting stuff in this volume. I'm looking for a particular page here. So yeah, here's the page I was looking for. This is the first instance where Rudo uses his gloves to upgrade, the same item multiple times. Pretty cool. And this concept is still being, I guess, evolved or improved on, even up to the current arc. I won't spoil how, but pretty awesome stuff going on currently if you're up to date with the manga. And then kind of talking about the current state of the manga, I really do like the arc that's going on right now. But one thing that is extra cool, I think, are all of the, I was going to say random, not really random, but, all those chapters with those mysterious opening pages. So you've got the Tamsi page, for example, that everybody was kind of freaking out about. And then we've also been getting all of those, what seem to be engine flashback hints. Hopefully we get more on that, because there's not really a lot you can piece together from what we've been shown, but there's that clock motif always tied to Engin's backstory, it seems. So it'll be very interesting to see where the manga goes. I think there's a lot of cool ideas, a lot of cool story elements that'll be coming up. So next up then, we've got Blue Lock Volume 26 with Don Lorenzo here on the cover from the Ubers team. This is then the Bastard versus Ubers game. Probably my favorite game of the NEL arc. And Blue Lock itself has just been a series that I've enjoyed immensely ever since I first read it. I think I picked up the series in like late 2022, early 2023, and very quickly became a top 10 series of all time for me, even though I'm not really a huge soccer fan. I do wish the anime was better, I think we all do, but there was a bit of glimmer of hope with the end of Season 2, showing us the potential of the team. I just hope that they get the time and the resources that they need to really make it a product that everyone can enjoy. Anyway, this volume gives us some really awesome moments from this match that help make it one of my favorites in the entire series. Obviously, we've got Snuffy's backstory, very emotionally engaging and depressing. And then kind of on the flip side of that, well, they're connected, but on the hype side of things, you have Bado usurping the entire Ubers team, which is just one of the highlights for me. Bado is absolutely one of my favorite characters in Blue Lock. Obviously, he starts off as pretty unlikable, but I think that unlikability is his charm, and it just makes him a lot of fun to follow because you never really know exactly what he's going to do next. Some of these double page spreads are absolutely insane. I really love here the super heavy shading, focusing on the electricity coming off of Bado's shot and then giving the heavy shadows. This volume also ends with our first sort of Kyoto tease. Obviously, he doesn't actually come in until the final game of the NEL, and then honestly doesn't really do that much. But, they're starting to hype him up early. But instead, we get Hiyori coming in, finally awakening to his ego, which is more exciting in my opinion. I like him a little bit more than Kyoto. Hopefully Kyoto can do some things in the current arc, because like I said, he just kind of comes in at the end of the NEL, has one big moment, and that was about it. So yeah, that is Blue Lock Volume 26. Really great volume. Like I said, one of my favorite games in the entire series, and really happy that Kodansha is putting these out so quickly. I think we're literally getting one every month, so it'll only be a matter of time until we're actually caught up with the Japanese release. So very cool. Moving on to some stuff from Viz Media, I got Undead Unlock Volume 23. And this one here, we're getting pretty close to the end. I think only 4 more volumes to go until we've got everything physically available. This whole final arc with the second loop, I really, really enjoy. You know, Fuko kind of going solo to rebuild the team from scratch, fighting all of the master rules. You get a lot of fun team-ups that were not in the first loop. You know, a lot of characters that either weren't used that much or, you know, didn't get to interact with each other as much. Case in point, this volume here has the finale to the Beast fight, so you've got the team up of Unstoppable and Unbreakable, pretty awesome. Then we get some more hints at the big picture lore of the series, always exciting. I think the power system and the sort of history of the world for Undead Unluck is really interesting and really unique, so I do enjoy that part of it a lot. And then for the second half of the volume, we've got the language fight with Nico, Ichiko, so Unsleep and Unforgettable, which is sort of this crazy multilingual game of Shiritori, which is really cool, I think. I had a lot of fun with this. Seems like the author did too. And then you also get, you know, my boy Fang coming back, one of my favorite characters from the series, and he kind of steals the show in this fight, in my opinion. Although that being said, Unforgettable manifesting in the second loop is pretty amazing as well. And then on the topic of the anime for Undead Unluck, I know there was that special coming out with the winter arc with Juice and Billy. I don't know if that ever aired. I thought it was supposed to come out in December, but maybe I just missed it. Anyway, looking forward to season 2 of the anime eventually. Hopefully David Pro sticks with it, but I know right now they are obviously finishing off Fire Force, and then in a couple months here we're going to have the highly anticipated Steel Ball run. So then for our last volume of this section of the video is The Climber, Volume 4. So this is a manga that I never thought was going to get a physical release back when I first read it, but now here we are already with Volume 4 out, and these are actually omnibus 2-in-1s, so technically it's you know, up to Volume 8. This is one of those series that definitely fits in the same category of those introspective, highly praised, you know, deep series like Vagabond, Vinland Saga, that sort of stuff. And I think that sometimes people can get a little carried away with their praise of these type of series and get a little bit elitist about it, you know, looking down on other genres or other types of stories. But I can't deny that they are in fact a great series. I definitely recommend this one for, you know, people that want deeply character-driven stories, also series that are a bit weird, like in a good way, I mean. The artwork and the imagery in this series is top-notch. One thing I really like about the art style too is the heavy detailing or emphasis on the lips. I think it helps the art stand out a lot and give it a very unique feel that I haven't really seen, you know, replicated in any other manga. But yeah, like I said, a lot of really cool imagery in this series, and you really get deep into the main character's mind, which is always interesting. Flipping over to the back too, really beautiful color pages throughout the series. I wish we got the color pages in the actual volumes here, but I guess you can always look it up online too. So moving on to something a little bit different in more ways than one, we've got the third omnibus volume for Ultimate X-Men, which is so big that I can't really fit it on frame. In the last episode, I did mention that there wouldn't be very many American comics, but I actually did get something last week and this week too, coincidentally. There was a funny story with this Ultimate X-Men Omnibus 3. So I got into the Ultimate Universe stuff with Ultimate Spider-Man, as I'm sure a lot of people did, about a year ago. I wanted to wait to read the other series until they had all of the omnibuses out, because when I got into Ultimate Spider-Man, the 4th one had just come out, and then obviously we didn't have the 5th one yet, but you could just buy Death of Spider-Man and then, you know, get basically the same issues in that. So anyway, I wanted to wait for all of Ultimate X-Men to be out before I started reading that, and for some reason I thought that this was the final volume. And then once I pre-ordered this one and did some more digging, I very quickly realized that there is in fact going to be a fourth one coming out in August or so. So I guess I will be delaying reading this for a couple months at least. But yeah, really huge, heavy, high quality book. And I do also like that they have all of the issue covers on the back. And it's always appreciated when books come shrink wrapped. It helps protect them during shipping. And then, I kind of keep them shrink wrapped until I'm ready to read them usually. And then going back to manga, we've got Kingdom Volume 3. Here's another one that I really did not think we were going to get a physical release of just because of how long it is. But I have always said that if somebody did want to do a physical release, it would do pretty well, and they would have years and years worth of releases to back them up. So Viz decided to take the plunge, releasing this as part of their signature line. I honestly was hoping that we would maybe get something a little bit nicer, like some big omnibus hardcovers that have the color pages and whatnot, but I suppose this isn't too bad either. So with these physical releases coming out, and coming out fairly quickly, I think we've gotten one each month so far, the time to start Kingdom is sooner than ever. But, if you know anything about Kingdom, it is very long, so it's quite the commitment. For whatever reason, I like to read longer manga in the summer, so maybe that'll be my plan, to read this over the summer, and by then, we'll have a couple more volumes out physically before I have to switch over to the digital version. Last year, I read the original Sangokshi manga from, I think, the 70s, and I really enjoyed that. And I think Kingdom covers the period of Chinese history before the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which is obviously what Sangokshi is about. For years, I've heard, nothing but praise for Kingdom, so really looking forward to starting it later this year, probably. Next up on the train of things that I bought but have not read for some reason, we've got Trillion Game Volume 9. To be honest, I really don't know much about this series. I just started buying it because I know it's written by Inagaki, so I'm kind of collecting it, running on faith, and assuming that it'll be good once I actually get around to reading it. It's also hard to know when to kind of jump on with series like this because, I'm not sure if anybody's translating it as it releases, which is always something to look out for when starting a new manga, because I really hate waiting for an entire volume to release just to keep reading. That is the very reason that I put the Ultraman manga on hold, and at this point I'll probably just have to start over because the volumes release so slowly that it's hard to remember things release to release. But yeah, not much to say about this one. I do like that the volume covers kind of alternate black and white. Looks pretty nice on the shelf, and the art seems pretty interesting as well. I like the style. It's kind of a old school look. And then rounding out the Viz releases for the week, we've got Way of the House Husband Volume 15. So this is kind of in the same boat as Trillion Game. I've just been collecting it because I've heard that it's good, but I have not actually started reading it myself. I think this series was recommended in like a Super Eye Patch Wolf video or something, and that's why I started picking it up, and just because I think the art is really nice. But yeah, really cute covers. Seems like it's pretty funny just kind of flipping through and, looking at the artwork there. Worst case scenario, I read the series, end up hating it, and then I can sell it all as a set to somebody else who would enjoy it more. And then for our last release of the week, we've got Hikari Man. This is the omnibus with volumes 7 and 8, so this will be the end of the series. I've been looking forward to reading this one once all the volumes were out, as I am a Yamamoto fan, and his super bizarre, weird type of manga. I'm really surprised his stuff is getting released officially. I guess that's kind of a trend with this week's releases. I do have all of Homunculus, which is already out, and then I am waiting for Ichi the Killer, to get all of those. But those are two series that I've read before, and I really like them. So that leads me to believe that Hikari Man will be another one I'll like. Really like the covers of this series, bright, vibrant colors that are different for each volume, and then sort of these weird X-ray looks at the characters. I know it's something to do with the power system, but I don't really know that much about the plot, to be honest. Like I said, really looking forward to reading this one. It's kind of nice that it's a little bit shorter, since I have been reading a lot of longer series lately. So yeah. Alright, so that is everything that I picked up this week. I got my two favorites here. Blue Lock, obviously always excited to get another volume physically for that. And then Gachiakta quickly becoming a series that I am really looking forward to reading each and every week. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, I will hopefully have those Ami Ami hauls up either this coming week or the week after that. Again, the reason why they're delayed will be explained in those videos. But until the next one, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hopefully I made it a little bit more interesting with the notes and the music, kind of a little bit more going on. And yeah, thanks for watching.